another Victory Wrap Sports Podcast. I'm Rick R.J. Julian.
And I'm Dale, the coach Eggleton.
And once again, we're looking at the sporting career of one of the Central Coast sporting greats and coach, a lady that's done everything in her chosen sport, has scaled the heights, and we've got her in to have a chat about it here at the Easy FM studios in Gosford.
Yes, RJ, it's netball royalty here on the Central Coast. Alison Broadbent. The journey started with the Davistown Club in the Gosford Netball Association, and that journey took her all the way to playing for the Sydney Swifts on 152 occasions, winning 3 premierships, 3 Commonwealth Bank Cups. Also represented the Australian Diamonds netball team on 35 occasions, and we'll talk about that throughout the podcast. She was inducted into the Netball New South Wales Hall of Fame in 2015, the Central Coast Sports Federation Hall of Fame. She's in the Walk of Champions in Gosford. She was the initial head coach of the Central Coast Academy of Sport netball program, and she's the ambassador for the Central Coast Heart. She's certainly a great ambassador for the Central Coast and for the sport of netball. Welcome, Ali. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
And we might mention our sponsors, a brand new sponsor for this particular podcast, Blue Lagoon Beach Resort and the Mighty Whitey at Whitey's Right Price Tyres. Alison, glad to drag you away from your banking job for a little while.
All the serious stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, netball, it's one of the biggest female participation sports in the country. Was it natural for you to become a netballer?
Well, I think what my mum played basketball, as it was called back in her day, and it just generated. And when you lived on the coast, there wasn't a lot. But like now, there's so many sports to choose from. But back then, there wasn't many sports for females to play. So netball was we just rolled into it and played, and we had such a good time with our team and growing up with that. So it was great.
Ali, tell us about the family growing up, what it was like, and how you did initially get involved with the Davistown Club.
A good question. I had mum and dad. Well, mum and dad. I said mum played, and dad was really into it. He played AFL, so he was right in that. And we just had to play a team sport. That was something that mum and dad wanted us to do, and we got into netball. Played with some school friends. I went to Woodport, as it is now. It was Erina West School back then. And a lot of my friends were based over in Davistown, and they had a club, and yeah, we just evolved from there. So it was quite a big club there when I was playing, and Davistown Apaches, played a few seasons with them, and it just evolved from there. And obviously I'm tall, so that's always a good asset to have. So that's sort of something that happened.
Did you adapt to the sport fairly quickly? Did you find that the physical side of it appealed to you? What was the general attraction? Because you were quite a physical player later on, weren't you?
Thanks.
That's all right.
I was nice. No, in all seriousness, I loved being competitive. I definitely love testing myself. I often say that I wasn't the best netball player, but I was the hardest working. And I really wanted to be better than I was, and I just kept improving over time. So I did have probably a natural ability for reflexes. I suppose that happened really, I got that from mum and dad, but dad probably. And I definitely had a skill there from passing, but dad was on me all the time about my passing. My feet weren't great, so I had to work on that. So I played centre. I was a terrible shooter, and it just evolved that I was the goalkeeper. And I had a coach actually, Jan Baden was her name, and I don't know. So Jan was awesome, but she did not move me out of goalkeeper. She just said, "No, you're staying. You're going to do all of these things." And I think I look back on different coaches that I've had, and I still remember her name, and I was only young, but she did teach me a lot about positional play and just watching the ball and all of those sort of things. So it was good.
Ali, you talked about that competitive edge. You started to make representative teams for the Gosford Association, and you realised then that to pursue your dream, you had to leave the Gosford Club. It was a young age, under 15, and moved to the Mount Ku-ring-gai district. Tell us about what was involved in that and the dedication that was involved with not only yourself but your family to go down to the Mount Ku-ring-gai Association.
Yeah, look, it was an interesting time. So, and you think about it, like I often talk to the kids I've got now, and my girls and people I coach, I'm like, we didn't have mobile phones back in those days. So, and they're looking at you going, you've got two heads. But so I made my first state team when I was 12. And that was something, my parents weren't even there. They put me on a bus to Deniliquin, and I made a team that they'd never heard of, and then I ended up having to go to Canberra, and all I thought about was I was getting time off school. So, and then I evolved from there, and then I had an opportunity, but I had gotten to, so A grade netball at Gosford was the pinnacle of our area, and they were playing, I don't know what it was called, State League, I think, but it was down in Sydney. It was obviously all the best state players, mostly from Sydney, because that's travel was obviously an issue for country, and I suppose being the luxury of the Central Coast is we are close enough to travel down, but it is taxing and it does take a lot. And I had an opportunity then to go to Ku-ring-gai or Randwick, and I chose Ku-ring-gai because Julie was very convincing, Julie Fitzgerald, who now coaches the Giants, but it was also closest for our family. And it was really hard actually because like you started, I suppose I was competitive. I definitely wanted to try, excel, do better, play harder. But you're leaving a whole heap of your friends behind. And so I started to create a friendship group and people in Sydney. So I've kind of got two camps really. But mum and dad was a bricklayer, and he used to finish work early, and I used to travel down. So I was pretty much down in Sydney 4 or 5 times a week, and that was before. Yeah, so you're and the roads weren't as good. There's a whole heap of things because I'm getting old now. But yeah, like it was. And then my sister started playing down in Sydney, so it was a lot for the family, for particularly in my teenage years, that I'm always very grateful for.
Tell us about training. What do you remember about training as you were working your way up through the grades? Were you a good trainer, hard trainer?
I was a hard trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I said before, I wasn't the best player. I obviously had natural ability, but I definitely was a good trainer. I did a lot of work outside of my own training with the team. I had to work on my feet. I had not the best footwork. And footwork is king when you're playing defence, so it's just all about reactions. So I had to work on that. I was lucky that one of the camps I went down to, I think I was in 17s, Joyce Brown was the Australian coach at the time, and she had a word to me and she said, Ali, she was talking about colours and she was a bit out there, but she basically, she just said, you need to work on your feet. And these are some drills, and this is what you're going to do, and you're going to do them so many times, and I'm going to stay in contact with you. So I was lucky that I had a connection with other people as well.
Sure.
So that was something, yeah, but definitely did a good trainer.
Ali, we see the success, we see the achievements, but we don't see the injuries, what you have to overcome. And you struck 2 roadblocks in your early years, 17 and 19, 2 knee reconstructions. Tell us how that made you stronger physically and mentally.
It's I look back on that time now, and it's all a bit of a blur, but in a good way. I suppose I was in year 12. I went to my first national championships, and I did my left ACL, and it obviously required a full knee reconstruction, and it was a lot for me at the time. I was doing my HSC. There was a lot of things going on. I thought my life was over. Everything dramatic that a teenager thinks these days, and yeah, I took a hit, and it probably took me a little while longer to get back from that. But I was pretty determined, and I had a lot of support around me. But it definitely messes with you more. Like I think about it and I'm thinking, yes, I was lucky that I didn't screw myself up really, but I was just, like you sort of just got to work your way through it, and there's some down times and a lot of sadness, but and the operations have improved so much now, so I think the recovery time is a lot quicker. It's still months, but it's definitely improved, which you would expect. And so that I obviously had a lot of problems with that left knee right till the end of my career, because it was a patellar. There's a whole, I could get medical on you, but so that gave me a bit of grief. And then I came back, and after a year, and started playing, made my 19s state team to go to nationals, and went to nationals and did my right knee. So that was the biggest hit of all, I think. So and I think looking back, that was probably a bit of a blessing, because I probably hadn't dealt with my first knee really well, and then when I did my second knee, it probably changed my perspective on what I was trying to achieve. Back then, I was I'm going to be in the Australian team, I'm going to do all of these things, and I'm focusing on an end result. And it's a bit corny and the girls go, oh my.
You can be corny, it's okay.
But you forget to enjoy the journey. And I think at that age, you do forget the things that you're doing. And I talk to players now, you've got to enjoy the opportunities that you have in front of you. And yes, you want to get to here, but you actually need to think about you play sport. Why? Because you enjoy it and because you love what you do and you love playing the sport. If you think too much ahead, you're actually not enjoying the moment.
Sure.
So I think with my right knee, I had to stop and think about, okay, I'm going to get back on court and I'm just going to take it one quarter at a time. And I literally played the rest of my career thinking that way, in a positive way, just thinking about, okay, another chance to play netball, let's get back out there, and let's give it all we've got. And it took me, it was good. And then I met Paul as well, my husband, so isn't he
Go
lucky?
surfing a bit.
He's lucky. He's not doing it anymore, but that was probably a good time, really, when I think about it.
Did the knee reconstructions make you more determined than ever to succeed? I mean, a lot of women, men, whatever, would go, okay, I'm quite happy just play local, but you wanted to keep going, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, never a question. Never a question. It was because I'd obviously made some teams and had some opportunities, some really good, but I really just love the environment and I love testing myself and I love trying to improve my abilities and definitely, and it wasn't till later that I started to get into Aussie squads again. Like, it took me a few years, so I was a late bloomer.
Sure.
But yeah, it was definitely, it was never a question.
Ali, the sport of netball was evolving, it was growing, and nationally it was growing, and you make the Sydney Swifts team. You represented them 152 times overall. But tell us about, it was a golden era for netball in New South Wales, those 3 premierships. Tell us about that squad you were involved with and those 3 premierships, how different they all were, 2001, 2004 and 2006, undefeated
good
year.
memory. There you go. Oh, you've got the written
Research. That's what it is. I got the wrong research. She's got the good research.
I was going to say, you. Well, funny. We took years. So the Swifts were formed, and was it the Commonwealth Bank Trophy back then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was 1997, and we basically always were. We never made the grand final, so we were 3rd, 4th. Like, it was kind of like we used to tell Julie Fitzgerald we were the funniest and the prettiest team, and we loved and obviously we used to party hard too, so that was nice. But we we had the makings of a team, but we actually had a young team. So and the 2001 year, I just remember it being this surreal moment because we actually, I think that's the one game we beat Adelaide by 25 or something, wasn't it? We beat them by a lot, and it was just because we just had been building for that moment. It wasn't just that season; it was years. So the team hadn't changed a lot. We had a good base, but we were all fairly young, and a lot of people. And then from that moment, and it took us. It was so amazing to get that first win. I can't even, because we'd been written off seasons before. And Catherine Harvey was in Adelaide, and we had all these other things going on. And but to do that with a group of people that I classify as my close friends still is truly remarkable. And then from that moment on, 2002, 2003. I'm not sure about those seasons in too much detail, but I know we're always contesting. I think we might have had a grand final in there as well. But and then we won in 2004. So they're all got different memories for me. I remember in 2004, Lizzie was doing the Athens Games, like she was commentating overnight or doing something overnight. Man, she was tired, and she turned up to the grand final. And I don't know if you've heard this story before, but I don't want to. But I had a really good game. Like I had a great game, and I got a win. Like, and we were down by 6 goals, and we stopped all these things. And my dad walked out of the stadium. Apparently, I didn't know this, but he walked out of the stadium because he had the shits because we should have been winning. We weren't winning, and so he walked in, and then all of a sudden, fourth quarter, we're down. We start coming back again, and then I got a winning. An intercept to stop the goal or whatever it was, and he missed it. And he totally missed it. And then we get to the so it was amazing. So it's one of the best games I've ever played, and I'm pretty sure my parents still rewatch that on the video that they've got. Who knows? They've got it somewhere. And but Lizzie got player of the match. And I looked at her and I went, are you freaking kidding me? I saved her ass, but but she was just, so it was just, but it was a really, that was an awesome grand final, and it was everything a grand final should be. And then 2006 was pretty special because we didn't lose a game that year. And we were the team to beat. People say that Julie had, well, she's got all these Australian players, so that's why she's going to win. But we've been with Julie forever. So she built that team, and we had a really good connection and a really good attitude to life. Julie's often a coach that, she just, you're a person first and player second. And so that year was just magical. It was a really awesome year, and it was a really awesome way to finish.
What about the coaches that you had during your career? Was there one that you really connected with more than, say, some of the others that got the best out of you, whether it was motivating you or just getting you to play the way that they wanted you to play? Yeah,
Julie was, I mentioned her already, but she was my only coach in the Suncorp. Suncorp now, but what was it then? Commonwealth Bank Trophy. And it was literally, she knew how to play hardball with me. And sometimes as an athlete, all athletes, I'm sure they struggle with this, but their head spaces can get all over the place, and you're super hard on yourself. You're very determined. You're the worst critic, and sometimes you need someone to slap you and tell you to pull your head in and just play. So Julie was that person, and she had a lot of respect, as I said, for you, the person, and really mindful that we were. So now the girls, it's really great because they're actually getting paid. I suppose it's semi-professional. I wouldn't call it professional because it's probably not enough. But back then we were working full-time jobs. We were married. We didn't have kids. We couldn't balance all of those things. And then we're training, and then we're playing, and we're traveling, and we're in the Aussie team. And I probably got $8,000 one year. So it's like, that is the money there was no money, and it's not, we don't play for money. And I think that's probably a mistake that some people make now, is that they play for, I say the wrong reasons, but you play the sport you play because you love it.
Loved it, yeah.
And that's what should come first. And I think and Julie had a really good connection with all of us around that, and she does, and she still has that now. People love playing for her. So, and they really enjoy having her, and she bloody plays hardball when she needs to be. And then from an Aussie perspective, it was really interesting because I had a few Aussie coaches. I was in the team for 6 years, and I was always, I would say, a bench warmer to Lizzie. But it was probably one of those things. I had a bit of a disconnect with Norma Plummer, I suppose, and she probably feels the same for me. But maybe we were very similar, and that's probably why that didn't work. And but I was always probably not on the court in the instance, but in the end I was. So probably it's just different, and I don't need to be on the court because you're part of a team. But everything's different. So. And I had Joyce Brown, which she never coached me per se, but she was a really good leader. And when I did my second knee, she actually contacted me and stayed in contact with me to give me some support. So she's definitely someone that I admire and look up to as well.
Alison, before we look at your success with the Australian Diamonds, your combination with Liz Ellis, you know, you spoke about that with the Sydney Swifts, but it was also with
I made her look good.
With the Australian Diamonds. Tell us, you know,
She says that. She says that every time she's interviewed. Where would I be without Alison Broadbent?
Oh yeah, that's what she needs to say.
But were you connected off the court as well as on the court as well as you were?
Pardon?
Were you connected off the court as well as you were on the court?
Yeah. And it was funny because we went to her 50th a couple of years ago. She is older than me, and I just want to point that out.
Okay,
she's ahead. I know she's ahead of netball
people will
Australia
hear
right
this
now.
and go, yes, Alison younger than Liz. Okay, no problem.
But yeah, but she's definitely an awesome leader, a really great role model for our team. She led by example. She wore a heart on her sleeve in a good way. She was tough as nuts, and she just literally got the best out of everyone, and she knew exactly what to say. So I think she expected perfection, and she's probably softened. She'll probably hate me saying this, and maybe she won't. I won't let her listen to this, but she has softened in her age, and she's just
Mellowed.
Mellowed's a good word. I like that. But she's still she's smart. She gets it. She's very determined. But she expects that of you as well. So if you're playing out in front of her, you've got to be on your game. And I lifted with that. Some players may not, but it actually worked in my favour. And because I don't need to be the shining light. I didn't need to be the shining light. I just needed to be on the court testing myself. And I was probably one of my best assets is that I was an awesome team player.
It's very important.
Yeah.
All right, back with more of Alison Broadbent in just a minute. Time to mention our podcast sponsors, or one of them, Blue Lagoon Beach Resort. The best holidays waiting for you at Blue Lagoon Resort, with so many great features and attractions. Absolute beachfront location looking over the magnificent Pacific Ocean. Choice of beachfront, ocean view and garden cabins. Premium powered caravan and camping sites. Outdoor heated pool and spa complex. Year-round swimming. Close to cafes, clubs, restaurants and shops. Modern facilities. Heaps of activities for the whole family. Short stroll to beautiful Shelley Beach. Bushwalk through the national park that looks over the resort. You'll love Blue Lagoon Beach Resort in every way. A perfect holiday. Visit their website, bluelagoonbeachresort.com.au. Book online and save.
Ali, 35 times you represented Australia in the green and gold. Tell us about the 2002 Commonwealth Games, over in Manchester, the journey through that and the gold medal match against your arch rivals, the New Zealand Silver Ferns.
Yeah, it was, honestly, that is one of the memories that I have. And as just lots of memories, but it was an amazing experience. And the from the athletes' village, you're treated like royalty. I met the Queen. I forgot to take my hat off when I met the Queen, and my mum was horrified. And so
no shaking hands.
No, not at all. And Prince Edward was there. He came and watched it. So there was just all these really awesome things about that time, where it's just so special. And to do it with a bunch of ladies was just that I really respected, was amazing. And but the partying afterwards.
That's right.
And that gold medal, because Sherelle shot the goal. Were we in extra time? I can't remember, but we won by one, and it was just an amazing experience. And we were all part of, I didn't play in that gold medal match, but we all did. It was like we played every ball and we did all those things. So so the whole experience was just phenomenal, and I absolutely loved it.
Playing against New Zealand, your arch rivals, wouldn't need much motivation to do your best. It's that rivalry brings out the best in you, doesn't it?
It does.
Explain what you were like before going on to play them.
Well, back then, they were our main competitors. Not now. Well, they are now, but there's others as well. But Back then it was pretty much New Zealand, Australia, that was it. And you just, you've got to, your warm-up needs to be on point. You need to make sure that you have enough sleep. There's all these little things that you need to do together. The team was really connected then. We had Catherine Harvey-Williams as the captain at the time. And yeah, so we just had all these, and we were just such a really good connected group. And you've just got to be present. And I say this, the crowd was amazing. Like, we had this really awesome crowd, and you're trying to warm up, and you think, as a spectator now, when you watch, you think, how do the players, even in the football world and any of those, you think, how do they hear themselves? But they do, because you actually zone out, and you actually don't. You've got a job to do, and the job is on the court, and you actually pay little attention to what's happening in the crowd and the noise. But I still remember it being very, very, like, the end of the game was just before we got to full time, was just, it was hard to hear. So for me to remember that, that's pretty special. And we had lots of Aussies over there, as you do in England, and it was lots of family, and it was just really special.
Alison, 2003, it's the Netball World Cup. Different setting. It's in Jamaica. New Zealand reversed the result and beat you in the final there. Tell us what that was like, the whole different setting in the West Indies in Jamaica compared to Manchester.
Very different. We went to Jamaica, I think I went to Jamaica 3 times, but and it was before the World Cup. And so when we were in the World Cup, like, it's just this, you think of Jamaica, and I think I might have said this on the previous podcast, but you feel like you're going into Cocktail. Remember that movie Cocktail?
Yes.
Where Tom Cruise is the bartender?
Yeah,
You
Brian
remember
Brown.
that. Come on. There's people that remember that. And it's all these, and it certainly was just not like that. You rock into Kingston, and it's actually pretty scary. We've been to South Africa before, and that wasn't as scary as this. And you arrive, you fly in, you're right near the jail. There's just lots of things. It might have improved since then, so I don't want to. But it was literally, we had guards all the time. In one of the games leading up to that, where the lights went out, and then we had people literally behind us with guns to protect us. And you're like, holy dooly, how am I playing in this? It was just a really weird experience, because you had this interpretation of what Jamaica was going to be, and it just definitely wasn't like that. But funny enough, you go for a bus ride and you go to the other side of the island, and it was like Cocktail. It was like Cocktail, the movie. So we ended up, it was just this weird, but the people were lovely, and we had a really, we had a lovely time. And we lost. I didn't play in that game either, so that was good. And
Put that down as a reason,
clearly, but it's it was definitely. But that G Centre had a party over there, and they just literally, the music, the dancing, and there's some really awesome people. But I do remember the poverty and the sadness and just the danger. And I think the Australian cricket team used to comment that was probably one of the most daunting places that they went to. So, and I'm sure it's changed now.
I think facing Malcolm Marshall would also be very daunting in cricket if you're a cricketer. That's for sure.
I think I met him once.
Did you really?
I met
some of the cricketers.
I met is it
Michael Holding.
Who was
Joel Garner.
Joel Garner. I met Joel
Big Bird.
Garner. Big Bird.
Yes,
Thank you. I met
yes.
Big Bird. We
Okay.
I think we went to his house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
We've
See,
been
I say all these things,
There's
but
some
I go,
revelations
no.
coming up. You've mixed with cricket
But
royalty.
we did, and we went to his house. We had a party, and it was during the day, and we were swimming in the pool, and we're having cocktails out of coconut. So
Tom Cruise would have turned up with Brian Brown. Where are they?
So I'm like, Paul. People go, I met him once.
That's right. See, this is all coming out now. This used to be a well-kept secret, but now you've met West Indian Test cricketers. Well done. Fantastic stuff.
And they were really cool. Anyway.
All right, the financial side, obviously going overseas and competing in Commonwealth Games and World Cups. Was there a reasonable amount of money that they gave you back then? I mean,
I think I mentioned it before. No.
No. Okay. So, did they cover expenses? What did they do?
Yeah, we didn't have to pay for anything when we were over there. So No. So we literally didn't get paid very much at all.
Cocktails were free?
Yeah, well, pretty much. And so I think there was a lot of experiences, and that's why I talk about the opportunities. And I know that's an old school thing, but we didn't have the money and we weren't getting paid a lot. We were mostly working full time, or if not at uni, studying. And we literally, So what Julie used to say to us is, you're overseas, and you've got an opportunity, like your travel's paid for when you're over in tour.
Sure.
And Julie used to say, you take a week after and you can go somewhere else. So we used to always go on a trip, and at our expense, obviously.
Sure, yes.
But because the airline had paid, we went to New York, we went to Miami, we went back to England. Like we had all these. We went to Greece. Like we went to the Greek Isles. So we had all these different. So Julie was really good like that, and I think she recognised that we don't get a lot of money.
Sure.
So the one thing that I did get was travel, and the one thing that I learned was just get a life experience outside. So it was pretty embarrassing what we got paid actually.
Ali, athletes talk about how good it is to represent your country in your home country in the Olympic Games, the Commonwealth Games. You got to do that. 2006, you represented in Melbourne. Tell us what that was like, having the home crowd behind you for that whole experience and going through to the gold medal match again.
I know. Well, I did play in that match and we lost. So.
Thanks, Julie. Thank you very much, Julie.
Yeah, thanks. No. It was special. It was really nice, and it was just one of those. Yeah, I had all my family there. Everyone had all their family there, and it was. I suppose there's a lot of pressure with that. We'd actually had a really poor lead up to the Commonwealth Games in terms of injury. Liz had done her knee. Lizzie had done her ACL. Then we had Monia Gerard do her ACL or something as well, another defender. We were down a few players, which wasn't great. So we went in people didn't think we were underdogs, but in our heads we probably were a little bit underdone. And I think for the game itself, we actually put a good fight out. And I remember Norma, through all of in life, in all of her coaching, that year I became, and probably the previous year, an impact player. Mm-hmm. So I used to come on the court really strongly at any time if you needed me. And I actually quite liked that. So I didn't start, but I would come on. So she had worked out a system for the defence end that I would literally come in at half time. Mm-hmm. And I was playing that and I was playing really well. So I nearly knocked myself out in the semi-final against England. That was, I don't know that, and probably looking back on it now, I probably wouldn't play in the grand final, thinking about all the head knocks. And so, which is interesting. But, so we put a good fight out, and it was disappointing. I know we're all really devastated after that. But when you think about it, you still got a silver medal. It's not about the medal, but you came second in that's amazing. Yeah. But as athletes, you want to be the winner. Yeah, sure. Everyone does. So, but it was a really good moment to have everyone there, and it was nice. It was nice to have my whole family there. Yeah.
What about, at that level, how physical is netball? I mean, tell us about, is it like, bumping and crashing into each other like rugby league? Is there a lot of contact?
There is a lot of contact. Actually, I watched the girls. I've been to a few Suncorp games this year even, and like some of the physicality that's on there, and the umpires are letting it go. I quite like it. I used to be that player, and you said I was a bit mean before, but I don't think I was mean. I had a good presence on court, let's call it, and I basically didn't give a lot of space. So there wasn't a lot of space for attackers to land, and that was my job. And I think now the game has evolved that the girls are fitter, stronger, wiser.
Earning more money.
Way more money. Right. And then, but also the umpires are probably adapted to that, and their allowance is good because you kind of need, and like you go to a game, and it's like any sport, you want it to be a contest. You go to any game that's a blowout, you go, oh, well, it wasn't that exciting, but yeah. So the games are really quite competitive. They're really physical in terms of the skill level and the way that the girls are acting. And yes, there's some knocks. Probably not like rugby, but it's definitely different in terms of when I was playing. But I think when I stopped, it was starting to get a little bit more contesting allowed.
Okay. Aggressive. Yeah.
Aggressive, that's a good word.
Yeah. Very
Alison,
good.
we talk about 2006. You've represented Australia in your home country in Melbourne in the Commonwealth Games. You're undefeated with the Sydney Swifts and win the competition, but you decide to retire.
Yeah.
You decide time's up. Do you look back and think, was that premature? And how did you navigate that, retiring after being an athlete for so long?
Bloody terrible. I was terrible at retiring. I don't think anyone likes to say it's time. Even in the workplace, I think people struggle with, the retirement word. I know that says, when I retire, I'm going to do this. But I think when you get to that point, it actually is like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? I think, my husband, Paul, and we were trying to have a family as well. I was 31. I did lose a couple of babies during the later part of my career, early on, but it was something that, you look at players now and they're trying to juggle. It's hard for females.
Sure.
It's just the way that the world, and so I think it was time for me to have a family with Paul. He's a lot older than me too, so that's what happens.
He didn't hear that.
Yeah. And maybe I could have gone back if the time had been different. So I look at the girls now that come back and play. It's amazing. It's amazing that the sport has evolved to allow that to even happen. But back when you played, you stopped. You played, had baby stop. It wasn't a said thing, but it was definitely not an easy thing. It was no support mechanisms to come back into the environment. And look, it was tough. I ummed and ahed about it because I loved playing. So I miss playing, but what I actually miss most is my friends.
Yeah.
And I say that a lot, and my girls think it's a bit corny, but I miss going to training and having a gas bag and training hard, sweating, coming home. Like literally, the game is one small part of it, and the playing, but it's actually just that connection with people. And I think I've realised that later on. So when I stopped, it was tough.
I think, when you look at it, it's the behind the scenes, the training, meeting your friends, catching up with them socially, probably more important than the game itself. And that's the major part. All of a sudden that's gone. I mean, you probably keep in touch with a lot of players, but that whole package is interrupted, isn't it? Most of it's taken away. Yeah,
totally. And I was living on the Central Coast. Everyone else was in Sydney. So I had a baby, and Emma's now nearly 18. And I'm in an environment. I actually didn't have a lot of people here that I knew, even though I'd lived on the coast since I was a kid. I didn't actually have a lot of friends here, so I had to start again. And that evolved, and that's fine. But at the time, it was tough because, and all my other friends that I'd been playing with, they all were still playing. So they still hadn't. So I actually got into commentating, did a bit of commentating. And that was a bit fun, but the whole reason I did that was so I could go to the netball and see everybody.
Yeah. And get paid.
And get paid.
That's right.
And get some money.
But Ali, what it does, it gives you time. You've got time, you haven't got to get to train, you haven't got to get to the games. And it gives you time to have a family and to go on holidays and go skiing. And there's a third knee reconstruction. Tell us about that.
Oh, man. I didn't know you were going to mention. Yeah, I know. 40. Fourth run, Thredbo, first day of skiing, third knee reconstruction. There you go. I sat on the snow, and it was so funny because we were very excited, and we were thinking about, do we go? I was turning 40. Do I go to Hawaii? That would be nice, but a bit expensive. And then, or do we go to Thredbo? And the kids were. So the first time we took them, I'd never gone to the snow when I was playing because it was a big no-no, because that is skiing and knees and everything. So that was always ruled out. And so we took the girls when they were 3 and 5, which was earlier. And they had such a ball. They had such a good time. It was such a good family holiday, and we absolutely loved it. So I thought, you know what, let's go back to the snow for my 40th. And anyway, so So we ended up, and my sister was there, her family was there, and we just had some friends there. It was, anyway, and first day, went up the ski lift, probably thought, oh yeah, this will be all right. And then literally, and I didn't do anything other than try and stop, and it was a turn. Like I was pretty coordinated, but I wasn't an awesome skier, but I literally was just, and I just sat down. I said, I just did my ACL. And I sat on the snow, and my sister and Paul were behind me, and they're like, no, you didn't, don't be so. And then I started crying, and then I started swearing, and then I just went, I have done my effing knee. Get someone up here. I am not skiing down. And like, so literally the funniest part, and then, so we get I don't know what they're called. What are they? They get, because I couldn't ski down. So I was halfway up a mountain. And
like a skidoo or something.
Yeah, like I got in one of those things, and the guys at I would say the head honcho health guys, whatever they were, literally, no word of a lie, come up to me and goes, you might be pregnant, love. My wife, she thought she did her knee, and she actually had all these hormones going through, and like, and I'm like, I am so not pregnant right now. So, and he's like, and I'm going, and he's trying, I don't know if he's trying to make me feel better, but I was like,
put me on that list,
I'm
mate.
like, and I'm going down in this sled. You can imagine. I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck am I doing? And anyway, and all I didn't want was the girls to see me, because they were at school.
I could probably hear you.
They probably could. And I was like, don't let the girls see me. I just want them to have a fun day. Just let me go. And I'm in there. So I turn up into the Thredbo Medical Centre, and they've got an awesome facility, because that's where the Aussie team go to, and it's really exciting. Anyway, one of the Australian team doctors for the skiing team was there, Michael someone, I don't know, whoever it was at the time, amazing guy. I said, I've done my knee. And he took off my pants. So he goes, yeah, you have. And I went, yeah. So anyway, so I met some, and then I was like the talk of the room, because then I had all these people come over. This girl's this is her third knee reconstruction. And I had people, I'm like, someone get me a wine. Someone please get me a wine. But anyway, I did my third, and my recovery, let's say it just wasn't as clean cut as my first two.
Yeah. What about a great moment in your life, inducted into the Netball New South Wales Hall of Fame 2015? You're up on stage. All your contemporaries are in the audience. How was that? Take us through the interview. Did you tear up on stage?
I don't know if I did. I might have.
It's down here in my research that you did.
I'm not too trusting of your research. I probably did, because it's a really humbling moment, and a really, it is awesome to do that, but and again, it sounds a bit cliche, but I think in that moment and that night, I spoke about, it takes a village, and it takes there's a whole heap of people. So sports people, we are committed with all of these things, and we've got skills, and we do all these things, but it takes a whole team of people to help that person or that team or whoever that you don't ever see. Yeah. So you don't see people all the time. And that night I was really thankful, and for all of the people from Gosford Netball to Ku-ring-gai to my family and I had my family there, and it was really, it was a really special night, and it was nice because people go, oh, your speech wasn't, and I'm like, well, it's true. It's so true. But it's not until I think I stopped, you have a family, or you do something different. It doesn't have to be a family, but you do something different that you start to think about and recognise, holy dooly, there's a lot that goes into it. And bucket, when you play, you couldn't really give two hoots what's going on around, because you're actually so, not obsessed, but you need to be. That's how you are, because that's how you become successful. Yeah. So that night was, it was really lovely.
Well, Ali, a lot of athletes, when they finish, they think about what they're going to do next. You talked about commentating and other things. Some go into coaching, some don't. Some want to give back. You decided you wanted to give back to coaching. What went through your head when Ian Moose Rebellion approached you about being the head coach of the netball program with the Central Coast Academy of Sport?
I think you might. I have never been the head coach there, but
okay. As far as the podcast is concerned, you are.
I used to like, I was like, hang on a minute, I don't know if I did that.
I've just promoted
I
you.
definitely did some. I definitely coached for them.
Yeah.
And I definitely did some a lot of work with the academy. So again, when I was growing up, there was no Central Coast Academy. I played for the Hunter Academy. So I definitely did some coaching for them. I've done some coaching. I enjoy coaching. I'm coaching my daughter's under 17 Gosford rep team this year. I'm not loving 17-year-olds, but
What about their parents?
they're okay. I think I'm scary. I think people would say that I'm scary. And it's probably because I'm so direct. And you could say something to me and I'm not offended, but I'll tell you what I think back. And I'm in a nice way, but the girls are really respectful and they're a great bunch of girls. So I think the parents are cool because they don't mess with. They just don't want to know.
Don't mess with you.
No,
that's it.
But they're good as long as the kids are happy. I'm happy, and they're happy as well. So I've done lots of different coaching things. Is it something that I do enjoy it? I've done some stuff with Netball New South Wales and coaching squads, and I get a lot out of it. It's just time, and when you've got a young family, like my girls are getting older now, but when I started to do all of those things, it's just time away from them. And when you're working full time and doing those things, I didn't probably pursue it as much. Again, money became an issue.
There's a theme.
There's actually a theme for this podcast. There's a theme here. There's a theme. So I have enjoyed working. Like Moose is amazing, and he's done so much for the Central Coast and for all different sports. And I know that I dabble in it all the time, going back in and out. So no, it's good.
Back with more with Alison Broadbent in just a minute. Time to mention another of our podcast sponsors. If you're driving with loved ones in your vehicle, having good tyres should be a top priority. And Whitey's Right Price Tyres is here to help. Best and right tyres for your vehicle, for your car, SUV. For tradies, there's the right tyres for utes, vans or wagons, plus trucks and caravans, and always at the right price. On-the-spot rego checks, full mechanical repairs, huge range of the best tyres. Whitey's, a genuine one-stop place for most things motoring. Drive safer and better with the mighty Whitey and Whitey's Right Price Tyres, Berkeley Vale. Give them a call, 4388 4321.
Ali, we talked about your journey, how you had to leave the Central Coast to pursue success and what you wanted to achieve. You must have been amazed now, the opportunities girls got here now on the Central Coast with we mentioned the Academy of Sport, the Central Coast Heart, the program up at the Central Coast Sports College, which includes netball. They don't have to leave. The pathways are here from the Central Coast. That must make you feel warm in the heart that they didn't have to go the same way you had to.
Yeah, I know. It's I think, we've grown and we've learned, we've adapted, and it's not just netball. I think I'm really passionate about female sport, and I know it's a bit cliche, but it is true. Like you've played it. I know what it feels like to be working, playing, doing, trying to be a mum, all those sort of things. So I think the avenues and the development in female sport, it'll just keep getting better and stronger. And the girls won last night.
They did.
In the footy, so that was awesome. And so there's all these different pathways locally, and it takes you other places. So I think you may not always stay on the Central Coast, but it's an opportunity to learn and grow, and then it takes you to other avenues in life, and it may not play on the field, but it's actually maybe doing something else with the connection that you've made down the track. So, yeah.
Talking about rugby league, would you have made a good rugby league player?
I think I would have.
I think you would have.
Yeah.
I think there's a fair
chance. I reckon
you
I
would have been in
right.
in that arm wrestle last night in the mud.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that would
have
have
been
me.
And you would have made some money too.
I was pretty quick too on the sprint, so I reckon I'd go all right.
Alison, what's the best piece of advice you were given throughout your career that you pass on now to your daughters or any other young athletes you come in touch with?
Oh, it is all about the journey, and all about. So Marianne Van Munster was one of my coaches years ago as well, and she's local, and she just, it's just through persistence, hard work, effort, and you just really have to be kind to yourself, but also enjoy the moment, which is, again, I spoke about it earlier, but just being really, she taught me how to keep a diary so you can look at what you do. So if you do get sick or you do something, you go, okay, well, hang on a minute. Don't hit yourself right now because you're sick and you're missing training. Think about all the things you've done to build up, so you're actually going to recover quicker and all these sort of things. So there's little things like that you learn along the way, and you'd like to give your old head to a young shoulders. But I think there's different, it's just enjoying the opportunities and thinking, okay, well, it's another day that I get to play. It's another day that I get to enjoy what I do and really test myself and love it.
All right, before we wrap it up with Alison Broadbent, all the international appearances, representation, you're inducted into the Central Coast Sporting Hall of Fame honour roll. Did you use the same speech?
I might have. Jesus,
So
you got to Google it and find out. I don't know.
Again, a great honour that you still remembered, isn't it?
Oh, well, I get remembered. People walk past. What did you call it before? The Walk of Fame
Walk of Fame. That's
on
right.
Baker Street.
That's right.
I have so many random people message me saying, "Here's your photo." I'm
I
like,
stood
oh
on
my
you.
gosh.
I stood on your feet.
Be proud of it, Ali. Be proud of it. You've certainly done well. My closing question, Alison, what's the future hold for Alison Broadbent?
Oh, the future. At the moment, I'm trying to navigate teenage land, and and I think I'm turning 50 this year. My husband and I are going to Kakadu for a trip. We've done.
Don't break your ankle. Don't do an
geez.
ACL. Come on.
Jeez. And I think I'm just looking forward to the girls growing up and finding whatever their passion is and enjoying what they do. So.
All right. Well, it's been fantastic having a chat to you, Alison. There's been a lot of laughs and congratulations on a magnificent career in netball. Our thanks to our sponsors for presenting it, Blue Lagoon Beach Resort and Whitey's Right Price Tyres. All the very best for the future. It's been an absolute pleasure catching up again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I called you netball royalty, Ali, and you certainly are. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
There you go.